And why do we call them special? In the sugar-coated version, they are special because they are differently able to stuff. But in reality, without the real sugar coat, they're nothing but a liability. When we talk about these special kids, special, right? We just have this sympathetic figure around us. They are the people who need charity and sympathy, and not acceptance. We are ready to sympathize with them, but not really help them and accept them. They need just acceptance in the society. Why is it that they have to be this special?
Whyrana is an NGO which primarily works for the mentally disabled kids, catering to their needs in the hilly terrain of Himachal Pradesh. So we got fascinated by the project, and above all, being a college kid, we were planning to go to Shimla, have a good time and enjoy our life there. I asked Aniket if there is an opportunity available there, and he's like, okay fine, come, I'll provide you the food and the accommodation to stay in, and rest is what you guys have to manage. We pretty much liked the idea and we landed up in Udan for that matter. We were a team of 3, me, Bakshish, and there is another person named Aditya. We were there for 3 weeks, and in 3 weeks from the idea which was just to go there, enjoy our life and get a certificate, we figured out that it's something more to that. We were so attached to the kids that we actually wanted to bring a different to their life. And that is how it all started. And there are certain incidents which changed our opinion about this whole project for that matter. There is a village which is like not that far away from Shimla by the name of Rodu. And there Udan started its regional chapter. And when they started that chapter, they came across people who were actually chaining their mentally disabled kids with their cattle in their shed. And they preferred and they justified that act, saying that basically these kids are paying for their sins in the past life. This is one of the very few incidents which we came across.
Once you spend time with them, then you actually get to know what are they speaking about. What are they actually? They're really smart kids, I must tell you.
A Nari Seva Sadan near Shimla, in which the inmates were not being taken care of properly. They were not given sanitary napkins, there was not proper sanitation facilities, no toilets, no clothes. You can imagine the rest. There was no guards, no doctors, no recreational activities and whatnot. So finally, some social activist there figured out that he should fight for the rights of the people, and he did. And he made the High Court give a judgment in their favor. We are not sure what is happening for that matter in that case, but it is something which gives us hope. That particular person, Dr. Rajesh Srivastava, shared an incident with us, which I'll share with you guys. He said that there was a lady who was suffering from HIV/AIDS and she was mentally disabled. She was referred to the best government hospital in Himachal Pradesh. She was there, and the Nari Seva Sadan sent a lady who was mentally disabled as well to take care of her in the hospital. That the other lady who came to help was dealing with the fluids of the HIV patients with her bare hands without even understanding what HIV means. When the people interfered saying that how can you do that, the hospital staff refused, and the administrations of Nari Seva Sadan suddenly refused the fact that that lady was there in the first place. It was the weather in the state of Himachal Pradesh. The weather actually plays a major role. Like if you imagine a hilly terrain which is just below the Himalayas, you'll get the fact that one village will be on one hill and the other will be on the other. And during the season of the winters, the one village is not accessible by the other in any means whatsoever. And according to a geography professor in Himachal Pradesh, 60% of the area in Himachal Pradesh is inaccessible to the people by large in the month of winters. And this is something which is actually a major problem. So imagine yourself to be a mentally disabled kid stuck in some far off village of Himachal Pradesh. You might not even survive to see the coming summers. And that is a harsh reality which we have to all face. The first and the foremost problem is mobility. A mentally disabled child cannot travel from one place to the other without the assistance of someone. And if we are planning to make them self-reliant on themselves, we have to find a way to make the mobility be there. The irony in Himachal Pradesh is there are 10% seats which are reserved in the local buses for a mentally disabled person. But the buses are not accessible by them. They are not disabled friendly. Apart from that, there is a really big amount of lack of awareness in the state of Himachal Pradesh. The parents which we interviewed during the course of our research, we came across the fact that these parents don't even know the basic rights which are there for their kids. They are scared to stand up and fight for the rights of their children. And the reason is that they still believe in the fact that the reason they are suffering is their past sins, and that is one of the major problems which we came across.
There are a lot of things that we have to educate people about.
Special rights which Government of India provides to a mentally disabled person through various acts for that matter. And few of them are something which we would like to list. First are the educational rights which are provided to a mentally disabled person. So basically a mentally disabled person has to be given transportation from his home to the educational institute in which he is studying. Their education has to be free of cost. They have to be provided a meal in a school. It is the responsibility of the government to make sure there are enough vocational training institutes nearby available to a mentally disabled person. When it comes to a mentally disabled person, it's the duty of the government that in all the government hospitals they are provided medical treatment free of cost for the disease which they are suffering from. Apart from that, they are given free medicines for their treatment and whatnot. The best part is they even get reservation and transportation. Particularly if we talk about the state of Himachal Pradesh, 10% seats are reserved for these kids, or for that matter, disabled people. These people get lands at a cheaper rate as compared to the rest of us. I would love that if I was disabled. And they can have the basic legal right which is given to them are, they cannot be jailed, you cannot arrest them, you cannot give them death sentence, they are bound to be provided a free lawyer, and for that matter various other things.
Like, they're very smart actually, and I thought, why wasn't I there before? There were children who are mentally retarded, they're autistic, they're suffering from Down syndrome, some of them, and cerebral palsy, and many of them. So one thing I found interesting was, like, as I said, that they're smarter than us, and they're very supportive.
If you've ever been to Shimla and have you visited the Mall Road, there is a bakery called Willowbank Bakery. It's closed now, but that structure is really old and it attracts a large amount of attention there. So once you go there, you'll find a person who's crippled by his legs and is sitting there with a weighing machine in front of him. His name is Gulab. He's basically a leprosy cured person who is blessed with a child who suffers from Mongolism. Now, Mongolism is a mental disease, and that is a different thing altogether. So this guy Gulab had to fight tooth and nail to get his special kid enrolled in a special school. Majority of the special schools in the town of Shimla refused to enroll this kid because of the background of his parents. And let me point something out right now, that his parents were leprosy cured. They weren't suffering from leprosy. And above all, it has been proven scientifically that leprosy is not a disease which will spread if you interact with them. You can go there, and if you use proper treatmental and protection, it will never spread. And these guys are leprosy cured, so the point of this disease spreading at a large scale is next to impossible. So this kid was refused by majority of the people from being enrolled in their schools. After 4 years of hard battle, finally Gulab's son was adopted by a school, and they sponsored all his education, and now he's studying in a good school for that matter. Gulab is adamant about one thing while we had a word with him, that he'll fight the system till his last breath to make sure that his son has a decent living which he couldn't have for his life. So the name of this kid is not Krishna actually, it was given to him by Whyrana, which adopted him later. So Krishna belongs to a village in Una. His parents died while he was 9 to 10 years old, and he was forced to stay with his sister. So his sister was married and she couldn't take care of him for a longer amount of time, and he was abandoned in the forests. From there, the forest department rescued him, and when they found him, he couldn't even walk properly. Then he was brought to Shimla, where the government hospital took him in. He was crawling that time on his hands. And then Whyrana came into picture. These guys helped him a lot. For 3 years, they made sure that this kid is able to walk. He started walking. He was getting a better stability, and his body strength was increasing. And once that happened, he revealed his story, that how his sister abandoned him in the forests and whatnot. Whyrana made sure that they take care of this kid till the very last moment, and they did that. Let me mind you that. But like all the other organizations, they have a financial crunch, and in the months of January and February, Whyrana is closed due to the heavy winter snowfall in Shimla. At that time, all the kids which are studying in Whyrana and they don't have a home to go back to, they are sent to a government hospital or a government facility in Shimla. Same happened with Krishna. He was sent to a government center in Delhi, and there he was killed, for that matter murdered, by his peers. They burned him with the cigarettes and whatnot. There was no case registered because you don't have any proofs against those kids. And that is how a kid who has an ambition of being one of the best runners and represent India for that matter in the Disability Olympics lost his life to the people like us who are cruel to them and who cannot understand them by far.
I mean, these kids, how they are used for wrong things.
When we actually can go out of our comfort zones and help people who actually need our help, who actually need our support in understanding themselves. So why are we reading subjects like psychology, sociology when we actually cannot help those people? So I think those are the major concerns of the society that we need to address.
But what is life for them? What is the society for them? Is the real perspective of these people? They simply want to do things like us, like normal chores like us, like just getting onto a bus and going to a school and reading and learning and getting acquainted and everything, like whatever we are doing. But our society does not let them do that. It does not.
When they started the school, people wrote on the wall of the school that this is a school for the mads, and we won't let this kind of a school set up in that place. Above all, I would like to add this to this particular story, that after 12 years of working in that particular locality, that locality generates funds for the schools and their own various methods. One of the very beautiful methods which I came across was doing Jagran, and the funds and the donations which were made in the Jagrans were used as the donations for the school. In a civilized society like ours, we are there to protect the weakers. We are not living in an animal world in which the strongest person survives. We are living in the civil society, and it's our responsibility to take care of the people who are weak, who are not able to do anything for themselves.
Once you see their happy faces, they'll make you even more happier in your regular lives. So why not just step forward and help them, and making ourselves better and feel good about ourselves too, and making them realize that they are special to us.